everybody, and welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be talking about totally unacceptable: children with Down syndrome and autism left in court cells for hours. A report finds the treatment of vulnerable people is a national matter of embarrassment, custody watchdog says. Children with Down syndrome and autism were among those left for hours in court cells while they awaited legal representation or transport. The treatment of some young people, including those with disabilities, were branded unacceptable and a matter of critical embarrassment for the criminal justice system by the local custody watchdog, the Lay Observers. I will attach more information about them in my video description. An annual report from the body of volunteers tasked by ministers to inspect court custody conditions and transport arrangements for detainees in England and Wales warned youngsters and those with health problems were falling through the gaps, as well as raising concerns about filthy cells and complicated transport arrangements made between the police, courts and prisons. The report also warned of poor record keeping of basic medical needs and a lack of sanitary items for female detainees in some cell blocks. The conditions are putting the welfare of vulnerable people and access to justice in jeopardy, the report said, adding that the problems are compounded by poor communication between different bodies and local authorities. I don't doubt that. I doubt that it's the actual custody units doing this to people, but the thing is, the custody units need to better be prepared and better thought ahead. So when they do have people with disabilities go into the custody units, they need to have basic medical care, basic sanitation needs, basic disability awareness. So that means people like myself go in there, train them, educate them, help them make sure that the cells are friendly, that kind of stuff. It's just about making little reasonable adjustments to make their stay a little bit more easier. I know it's not the kind of place you want to be staying long term anyway, but just making sure they're more aware of how to look after people with disabilities would be crucial. LO National Chairman John Thornhill said that the problems have a concerning impact on access to justice, adding it is clear some people had to appear in court having travelled hundreds of miles, others did not support with their basic medical conditions or disabilities. Some are kept in dirty court cells for hours on end. This is a matter of national embarrassment within a modern criminal justice system. The report described dirty cells with food and liquids that had been splattered up the walls, in some cases while others were covered in abusive graffiti, some of which was racist or gang and drug related. At the Thames Magistrates Court, a clearly coded message was found in one cell. The report cited a string of examples of poor treatment of young people and their disabilities, including a young boy with Down syndrome had to wait 4 hours to see his solicitor at Westminster Magistrates Court due to a lack of available space. I'll stop it there for a second, because that should have never happened. He should have been moved to a quiet room. He should have had early access to his solicitor. They should have been set up a quiet room, away from every other noise, away from other people, and he should have had his one-to-one time with his solicitor under proper conditions, with the custody sergeant or lady, whoever's in charge of that custody shift on that time, and they should have looked after his basic disability needs. That is a reasonable adjustment. That is part of the law. You have to make reasonable adjustments. That should have never happened. That's an absolute shocker. I'm really disappointed about that. The report said there did not appear to be any attempt to prioritise vulnerable people's or detained persons' needs. Mr Thornhill said transport arrangements remain erratic in a worrying number of cases, with long delays for vans to take detainees, including children, to and from prison or secure placements, and very long journeys late at night. The report highlighted the totally unacceptable treatment of a 16-year-old girl after being sentenced in late afternoon at Plymouth Magistrates Court, was not moved from custody until 10 p.m. at night to make a 235-mile, 378-kilometre journey to Rainsbrook Secure Training Centre near Rugby in Warwickshire, where she arrived at 3 a.m. in the morning. During another incident, a 14-year-old boy was held in a cell for 11 hours for an hour-long court hearing at Bradford Magistrates Court before being driven away again late at night. These findings also describe how a young boy with autism had reacted badly to being detained in a confined space, becoming very emotional and mentally unstable. For the boy with autism, that is disgusting. To put him in a confined space when they know people like me hate confined spaces, they know people like us get overwhelmed, we have sensory issues in confined spaces, we need to be out where there's lots of room for us to move around and be social, we have to have room to be able to walk around, room to move, because a lot of us are sensory seekers, we need to have space to move, touch things, be in front of things, and if we don't have that sensory seeking need met, we will get emotional, we will shut down, therefore you'll hit the depression, the anxiety, the chronic pacing backwards and forwards, stuff like that. You are going to take a lot of people with autism into a really bad state of health at that point, and that should have never happened again. 11 hours, that is absolutely obscene to hold him in a custody unit. 11 hours, that is shocking. Absolute shocking. I'm absolutely disgusted. That's horrible. And yeah, that's really actually really annoyed me, and really makes me realise that the UK system is broken. It does not work for a lot of people with autism like myself. It says, while waiting in a Southampton magistrates court cell for more than 2 hours whilst his transport was arranged. There are also concerns raised about the young person being transported in the same vehicle as adult offenders for long periods of time. Although there have been welcome improvements within the past year, and the majority of custody and escort staff are doing their best to deliver a decent and respectful service, often within difficult situations, Mr. Thornhill added 2 million children and vulnerable adults have had their welfare put at risk because of extremely poor record keeping, which leads to critical medication not being taken for people with asthma and diabetes, the risk of violence to staff and other detainees. A Ministry of Justice spokesperson said the welfare of young people and vulnerable people is a priority. New contracts, which begin next month, will place greater emphasis on improving decency and welfare for those in custody and minimise time kept within the cell. So I hope that this new report has kind of interested you, and as an autistic person myself, this report has horrified me. What the hell are the UK custody service doing, keeping someone in a custody unit for 11 hours and keeping other people with disabilities with Down syndrome restricted in a room for confined space? It is ridiculous. You are putting their health at risk. There needs to be better awareness, better education, better training. This is down to money and down to a lack of care, miscommunication, and the problem is this is only going to get worse. It's going to end up with someone's death on the line, or someone within the custody service having such a mental breakdown that they're going to quit their job. Please, UK government, sort this out. Please try and understand how we're anxious and how we need support, because at the moment you're failing a lot of people with disabilities, and I can only see it getting worse. So I hope you've enjoyed my take on this. Please like, comment, share and subscribe. I'll link the article down in the description below, and I'll see you for the next video. Bye!